If you haven't already turned off your cell phones, I would like to invite you please to silence your cell phone, which generally involves you taking the cell phone into your hand, pressing one of the various buttons that will facilitate the silencing of your cell phone, and not just wishing that no one calls you in the next 2 hours. That doesn't count. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Rabbi Jonathan Birkin. I'm one of the rabbis here at Aventura Turnberry Jewish Center. We are deeply honored and grateful to be hosting this evening and to be hosting Dorin, and we are very, very grateful. So to Jacques and Susanna and Tebi, who have been hosting her in Miami after they had spent some time in New Jersey, which isn't the best way to meet the United States of America for the first time. So now we are finally showcasing a magnificent corner of paradise, not only for Americans, but for Jewish Americans and for many Israeli Americans as well. But to begin our evening, we thought it would be appropriate to bring greetings officially on behalf of the State of Israel from the Deputy Consul General of the State of Israel. Mike Drakez is here, and Mike knows that here at Aventura Turnberry Jewish Center, all the time, Israel is the forefront of our minds and our hearts and our souls. But since October 7th, we frankly are not so interested in anything else that does not involve a powerful, meaningful, proactive, and impactful response to this new world in which we find ourselves post-October 7th. And that has taken a variety of forms. Among them, the reason why you may not be seeing the other Rabbi Guido Cohen, here with us tonight, that's because he is currently in Israel right now on an amazingly inspiring delegation of almost 20 people from our congregation. Actually, it's 18 exactly, which is a wonderful number as well. 18 exactly who went to Israel on a solidarity volunteering mission. So they have been posting on social media. You may have seen it. And as soon as he comes back, we look forward to hearing about his experiences there. So without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mike Drakez, Deputy Consul General of the State of Israel.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to all the rabbis. There is a lot here. I just met Susie like 2 minutes ago, and the first thing, and Doreen, of course, the first thing that she told me is that she welcomed Doreen at her house, and it seems that they are already a family, and everything is like some kind of symbiotic relationship. And it's not a secret that 2023 wasn't very successful for Israel. We started with judicial reform, all the madness among us, Am Israel, and then we had the massacre of October 7th and the war that we are still fighting right now for the values of the world. And during this year, I had this habit during Shabbat dinners to bring people who were, before the war, of course, pro and against the judicial reform, because I wanted people to understand that we have a lot more in common than the thing that we don't agree on. So the rules were very clear. The people were entering in my home, putting their phones in the entrance. We had a beautiful kiddush with the food that I cook, because my wife is terrible at it. And then we just talked about the arguments. They were, and we decided all the time in every Shabbat dinner that we were agreeing on everything. And the reason I'm telling you that, we will now hear the testimony of Doreen, is because we are one. And it's very heartwarming to see that after 104 days, we still have full rooms of people from the Jewish nation, from Israel, gathering together in order to help and to support and to give everything they have in Israel. And the rabbi just mentioned New Jersey. Yeah, definitely not a good place to start with. But regarding that, I want to tell you something. I'm not Israeli, I'm Israeli of course, but I'm not Israeli from birth. I was born in France, and I grew up in France. I left France because of anti-Semitism when I was 16 in order to join the army. My journey took me to be a combat soldier, and then an engineer for some reason. God knows why. But I always wanted to represent the country. I always wanted to do something for my country. So I moved to be an engineer. A diplomat 7 years ago. And I can tell you something. And this is a thing that I will take from my consul general, my boss in the consulate. There is no other community in the world that is like the South Florida community, Jewish community. So the first thing that I want tonight, before we start with Lauren, is to take a round of applause for you. Because you are really incredible. It's something that it's not taken for granted, not by me, not by the State of Israel. And it's the best way to say thank you. Just continue to support. We have a lot more to do. We are fighting for the future of the world, actually, for the values of the world. And we have a lot more to do, not only the nations, but a lot of things, the Israeli economy, the startups. We're working around the clock. Jonathan, the Rabbi Birkin knows that. So please, if you want to do something for Israel, if you want to promote something, if you want to be in business with Israel, you just call us, and we do everything I can in order to assist. Thank you very much.
In the beginning of December, Rachel and Jeff Braverman, a couple from New Jersey, read an article about a family who barely survived October 7th, hiding in their kibbutz in Israel with their 2 baby boys. The parents of these boys, Doris and Itamar Cohen, Itamar's birthday is today, by the way, kept their 2-year-old son Adam quiet during many of these impossible hours by letting him listen to his favorite character, JJ, you just heard, from Coco Melon sing him songs. And that voice of JJ is Cody Braverman, Rachel and Jeffrey from New Jersey's 11-year-old son. When Cody's parents told him about this little boy, Adam, from Kfar Aza, Cody wanted to send him a special message as JJ, which you all just heard a part of a few moments ago. But they needed to get in touch with the family in order to do that. So the Bravermans contacted the author of the piece who connected them to Dorin. Adam was, of course, so happy to hear JJ talking to him. But what they really wanted to do was to help this family that had lost everything. A family that they felt had gotten connected to for a reason. They all spoke to them over video chat, and the Bravermans asked what they could do. Could they send money, clothes, furniture? What did they need? Rachel and Jeff had a sense that what they really needed to do was to have a break and a fresh start. So they said, come to New Jersey. Stay with us for a bit, catch your breath, let us take care of you, pretend we are cousins in New Jersey. So a few days later, their flights were booked. And a couple of weeks ago, Dorin and Itamar walked into the Bravermans' home in New Jersey. And since that time, Dorin has been an ambassador for the people of her kibbutz, for the people of Israel, and for her friend Theron, who remains a hostage in Gaza. She's been sharing her story, her family's story of survival in New Jersey and Washington, D.C., and for the first time in Florida here tonight at Aventura Turnberry Jewish Center. Susie and Jack are dear friends of the Bravermans and offered to bring the Cohens to their home this week to see our community, to see all of you, to visit ATJC. I'd like to introduce this beautiful, strong mother of this family to all of you so that you can hear her story. She is a hero. She is part of our mishpacha. Please join me in welcoming Dorin Cohen.
Hello everyone and thank you for coming tonight. I am Doris Cohen and I used to live in heaven. A heaven that turned dark one day. I am here with my family from Kibbutz Kfar Aza in southern Israel. My husband Itamar and I met when we were in kindergarten in Ashkelon. He moved to Kfar Aza when he was in the first grade and lived in that paradise until October 7th. There was never even a thought when we got married that we would raise our children anywhere else until now. We have two boys, Adam, who is 3 years old, and Jonathan, who is 7 months old. Kfar Aza is a small and beautiful kibbutz, full of green spaces, chirping birds, and spectacular sunsets. Itamar used to run around the border of the kibbutz, which would have cost him his life if he had been out that terrible morning. From a very young age, the children roam freely around the kibbutz. We always felt a strong sense of security, even though from time to time there was Tseva Adom silence as rockets were launched toward us, but we were used to it and knew how to act accordingly. That was part of life in southern Israel. On Saturday, October 7, the morning of Simchat Torah, we are going to celebrate by holding our kite parade, also known as a Fifoniada. Each year we flew kites, symbolizing peace near to the border so our neighbors could watch. Ironic. But instead, at 6:30 a.m., sirens went off. We ran to the bomb shelter in our home, which was also Adam's bedroom, and sealed the door and the window. The children were still asleep. Suddenly at 7 a.m. came the moment that changed our lives forever. From the bomb shelter window we heard shouting in Arabic and gunshots. And that's when we realized that the terrorists had invaded our kibbutz. This was not part of life in Israel, at least not part of life in Israel we knew. Later we understood that the gunshot we heard had been fired by the terrorists who murdered our neighbors. We heard the screams. We knew what happened. Our neighbors who survived were the 10-month-old twins orphans that many of you may have heard about. Itamar grew up with Hadar, their mother. The familiar scream we heard, her last sound. It was horrible. Fear permeated every bone of our bodies. I called the police and begged for help. Itamar ran into our bedroom and grabbed his handgun. The bomb shelter door didn't have a lock, so we moved Adam a bookcase to block the door. And then we waited. You don't know me, but I'm not much a religious person, not before this day. But in Adam's room, in our bomb shelter, I opened a book of Psalms that was sitting in his bookshelf. I literally opened to the middle of the book. Psalm 18 was the word before me, and the story of King David hiding in a cage from King Shaul. And it was dark, and he heard bombs outside, and he was describing the fire he saw. In print it said, Blessed be God who rescued me from my enemies and saved me from Hamas. I did not look for this passage. I had not even read this word before, but they found me, and I am here today because God did save me. During this time, the kibbutz WhatsApp group were reporting that the terrorists were in their homes, everywhere, and nobody was coming to help. We were hearing about the murder of Phil Lipstein, the head of our regional consul. He was in charge of 11 kibbutzim in our area. Aviv Baram, one of our first responders. Yuval Salomon, Itamar's best friend, he turned 29 on October 6th. We talked about how we would celebrate his 30th, joked that we would have to shut down Tel Aviv for him. He lived in an area in the kibbutz that was for people aged 18 to 30. The entire area was killed or taken hostage. At 10 a.m., there was an electricity outage. We were left in total darkness and with very little reception. Time passed, and it became difficult to keep the children quiet and stop them from crying. We told Adam there was a dangerous storm outside. What do you say to a 3-year-old? Slowly, the batteries in our phone were running out. But worse than that, the oxygen in the shelter was running out. In a situation where you already felt like you could not breathe, we could barely breathe. At 2 p.m., a small force of soldiers entered the kibbutz for the first time. We were sure that they would rescue us very soon. They had to. How could this be lasting so long? My parents felt helpless. They were 10 minutes away, but a word apart. I emptied out a drawer in Adam's bed that held his sheets and sent my dad a picture. This is where Jonathan will be. My plan was that I just put him in the drawer if something happened to us. My dad could not reach us, so he got his car with his pistol. He thought he could save us, but the army turned him back. Itamar's parents were stuck in their house, only 5 minutes walk from us. The windows in their homes were blown out as they hid in their own bomb shelter, but they remained safe. After his parents were rescued by the army, the terrorists blew up their house, leaving the Shabbat Chala. Night came quickly that day. You might think time would move slowly in this situation, but it did not. By 8 p.m., we could no longer breathe. No water, no food, no light, no oxygen. Just praying for our lives, for the lives of my babies. We decided to open the door of the bomb shelter to ventilate it a bit. Itamar crawled into the kitchen and brought some water and food. At 12 a.m., the terrorists invaded our house. They exploded a bomb in our home, right outside of the shelter. The bookcase that was holding the door closed, exploded into pieces, and flew over Adam sleeping in his bed. Itamar, who was holding the door, was swept off his feet from the explosions, and his hand was injured. The terrorists shot in every direction with machine guns and set fire to the house. I was able to send a last message to my parents telling them that the terrorists were in our house and the phone shut off and we no longer had contact with anyone. Smoke seeped into the bomb shelter. I held the children to keep them from crying so the terrorists would not hear us. Our apartment was two that had been put together, so we had two bomb shelters. This is also what saved us. We think the terrorists did not realize we're still there. Itamar held the door handle, which had caught fire to prevent them from entering. For several hours, we heard loud explosions and gunfire. We prayed. I just stared at the door handle and assumed when the terrorists entered, Itamar would die killing some of them, and then I would pick up the gun and fight to save my children. The sun came up, and we could see the light through the bullet holes in the door. It became quiet, quieter than it had been. We heard the terrorists run into our house to hide from the Israeli army. It was also at this time where I had nothing else to feed Jonathan. I had been nursing him, but I had nothing in me. I was dehydrated and stressed, and my milk was gone. I thought he was going to die. I heard a jeep passing our house. I wanted to open the window and call out for help. Itamar didn't want me to. He was afraid it wasn't safe, that we would be showing ourselves to the terrorists. But I heard Hebrew. And my baby needed help. I opened the window slowly and just stuck my hand through and waved and whistled. The soldier thought everyone in our house was dead, so they started shooting at us. Maybe Tamar was right. A few hours later, at 11 a.m., after 28 hours in the bomb shelter, I heard another military jeep passing by our house. I told Itamar I was going to open the window and call for help. And I knew I had no choice. Jonathan was going to die soon if we did not get out. They thought they saw ghosts. Total shock. But they rescued us through the window of the bomb shelter. When we got outside, we saw our house in flames. The roof was destroyed, walls gone, everything gone, but not us. We were still standing there. As it turned out, the explosion we'd heard at night were missiles that the army had fired at the terrorists in our house. They believed that we were dead. All the neighbors who came out at night and saw our house looking like a huge ball of fire were already mourning us. As we drove away in the jeep, we saw our paradise in flames. The beautiful green space is now black. A dead body to my right, to my left, all around us. The smell of death is in the air. We arrived at the gas station where all the survivors from our kibbutz were taken. It was like we were back from the dead. From there, we were evacuated to kibbutz Shfaim. All the survivors from our kibbutz are there and will probably be there for a long time to come. "68 dead, 18 hostage, 11 have been returned, 2 were killed, 5 are still being held hostage. 5. One of those is my dear friend Doron Steinbecher. She's a beautiful, young, bright light in my life. And the last I heard from her was a voice message on October 7, where she said, they cut me. In the background, the terrorists are screaming, Allahu Akbar. The terror that she's living is one that does not escape my mind, not for a minute, not until she's back. On October 7, I made a deal with God, and I believe He saved us. I told Him that I would keep Shabbat, keep kosher, keep all the Jewish holidays. And I was not a religious person, not before this. But now, I will tell you, I believe God is the reason I'm alive, because we made a deal. Dealing with this kind of horror and tragedy has been struggle for all of us. Even telling my story feels like I'm talking about someone else. Our lives are forever changed. My baby cries when it's dark and shrieks when he's hungry, different than he was. Itamar and I started smoking again after not smoking for years. Adam talked to his friend about how his house was destroyed and he was always hiding from the bad people. I do not know what the future holds right now for us. I don't want to go back to Kfar Aza. our forever own. We came here to the state because maybe this will be our home. I don't know. I want a place we can make new roots, new memories. A place that is ours and not borrowed, not destroyed, safe. But I know I am one of the lucky ones. One who is lucky enough to be standing here, free to struggle, free to face our new reality, free to find a new path. I'm one who survived. Standing here today with my husband and my children, I am not one of the 136 people, men, women, children, babies, who are still being held hostage in Gaza in horrific conditions, being held without food, being abused, being terrorized, being kept away from their families, friends, lives. October 7 took many people away from us that we love, but some have the possibility of being returned. On October 7, people was murdered, burned, raped, abused, and kidnapped. My family lived in fear for almost 30 hours, but the hostages, including Dawn, have been living in fear, in terror, for over 140 days. We need to do more than just to say to bring them home. We need to actually bring them home. Every minute counts, so they too can begin surviving. Thank you.
Please be seated. We're going to have an opportunity to ask Doris some questions. Just want to get a chair here for her. First of all, we are so grateful that you summoned the courage to share this story and these pictures, something so personal and so intense. And I hope that the more times you tell it, you'll have more and more strength, because the whole world needs to understand not only what happened on October 7th, but what is continuing to go on now and what it is that we need to do. We're going to switch, actually give me this microphone. And then I'm going to ask for those who would like to ask questions to please proceed and don't be shy. We are all mishpacha here, and whether the Cohen family chooses one day to live walking distance to the Aventura Turnberry Jewish Center, we will welcome you and your family with open arms. We have the best preschool in the state of Florida. Just saying. Actually, Susie, we'll talk about 9:30 tomorrow. We have a little Shabbat celebration in the morning that I think your kids will enjoy if they're awake, but I was told they're awake all the time. So don't be shy. She's part of our family, and if there's something that you would like to know or ask about, go ahead. I will bring the microphone to you, and I'll ask you first to tell us all your name, and then ask away.
Well, Terry Wallman.
Terry, you have a great projecting voice.
And not to burst your bubble, and you and I were in Israel together 6 years ago for the 70th, but in this group here, you have probably 20% of us are from Toronto, Canada. So if you and your family want to come to Toronto, Canada to live with us, we have an excellent preschool as well.
It's too cold there.
Now I'm glad I didn't give you the microphone. Okay, but we welcome our Canadian friends. You might want to ask him why he's here and not in Toronto right now, but we'll leave that for later. But thank you for your gracious hospitality, and Canada is a special place as well. Stanley.
Yes, my name is Stan Wildus, and my wife and I are members here at ATJC. And I'm marveling at your ability to be able to relate this story. I'm sure each and every one of us in this room not only have been horrified, but continue to be horrified by what happened, what you personally lived through. My question is, how do you muster the strength to be able to tell the story which must be told?
When the Braverman asked us to come here, was only for a vacation, and they were so nice, and I really love them. Me too. But the first thing that I told them that I want to speak about what happened, and not because I just want people to hear my story, which is very important. When I was in Israel, I always thought of what I can do for the one and my friend, and I felt helpless that I can do nothing. And when I'm speaking here in the US, it feels so powerful, and I don't want anyone to forget that there's still people in Gaza, and there's not just names and pictures. There are actually people, and they're all important, and they need to come back immediately.
I think I'm okay. My name's Adrienne Pack from Toronto.
I don't know if everyone can hear you. Oh, you're from Toronto? You don't get a mic.
It's all good. Hi, welcome to Florida. I just want you to know that this past Sunday there was a walk for the 100 days, and just by sheer coincidence, the person who I walked for with the poster is your friend Doris. So it's kind of weird, and I have it, and it's near me every single day since then, and I think about all of the hostages that her face is there, and we all feel the 100 days plus.
If you're gonna take the microphone, hold it close, because the people in the back can't hear the question unless you do that.
Hi, my name is Karen Bedzel. How are you? I'm so thankful that you shared your story with us. Anyways, my question is, do you feel that the Israeli government is doing everything they can to free the hostages that are still there?
It's okay. I said that I'm not going to answer about political questions because it doesn't matter. I don't care who's gonna bring them home. Just, we need to bring them home. I don't care who, I don't care who. Just love them.
There were, well, that one's strong. Oh, another hand I saw somewhere over here. Oh. Maybe.
First of all, you're an amazing woman, and for what you went through and how you saved your children. It's just just remarkable. You're a wonderful mother. My name is Paul Tartell. I've been a member here for a long time. We've heard stories that this was somewhat of an inside job, that many of the Gazans who participated were familiar with your kibbutz and the other events. They had a familiarity with everything, the floor plans, who was going to be in town that weekend, who was not. Did you notice anything like that? And then my other question, which may or may not be political, and please don't answer it if you don't feel comfortable, is what do you think should be done with Gaza?
She doesn't want to answer political questions, but she's launching her political career right here.
I heard about it too. I don't know. I don't want to know, because if it's true, it will be really hard for us. We always believed in peace, and even this morning, the morning of this day, I had my kite ready in my house to go to the parade, and they always send us kites with bombs, so we wanted them to see that we want peace. And I tell you that I don't believe in peace anymore. But that's it. Thank you.
She doesn't believe in peace.
Okay. Lynn.
No, I believe in peace, not with them.
Okay. Lynn.
Hi, my heart goes out to you. I know that all of us have this cloud over everything we do every day, praying and hoping. And I thank you for what you shared with us tonight. My question to you is, we all feel impotent. We all want to do something. We don't know what to do. Could you give us an idea of what you believe would be the most helpful, proactive thing that we can do as individuals?
Just be careful with her. If you say it, she's going to do it tomorrow. So just make sure you.
I have this question, a lot of people ask me that, and my answer is always pray, because I believe that this is the most powerful thing. But also, you can just tell everybody about the hostages and make sure that anyone will forget them. This is the most important thing, I think.
1 second, I'll come back to Canada in just a moment. Michelle.
Rabbi, you love Canada.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Michelle Hershenstein. I'm very moved and inspired by your story. And again, besides the Tehillah, and besides talking about it, I'm like Lynn. I want to take action. You have a group of people here that would do anything that you told us to do. Is there anything that we, all of us, could do that would make a difference to help the government move on this most important issue?
I really don't know. I don't know what to say. If there's something that you could do, I would tell you to do that, but I don't know. Sorry.
Well, I can just respond. I mean, Michelle and Lynn, both of you know what we've been promoting here at ATJC, and I don't know if Mike wants to jump in on this, but you want to say a few words? Okay.
Actually, we since October 7th, I think that I received thousands of calls and SMS and WhatsApps about what we can do. You all have the ability to do something, and it's not a cliche. You have elected officials, state and federal. You have social media, you have media for the one who are very involved in that. I'm not the only one who can have interviews. I think I have 170 interviews since October 7th in Spanish and in English. But you can't do that on your behalf. You can contact someone who knows someone. There is always someone who knows someone. And this is A lot of people are telling that the government is not doing enough. Of course, I work for the government and I cannot give my personal perspective about that, but I can tell you that from what I know, we are doing 300% for not only for the hostages, but for getting all the results that we want in the date after October 7th. We want to be able for the people to come back to Kfar Aza and to Nir Oz and to the north of Israel. It's not normal to have 230,000 people displaced. It's not normal to have 136 hostages by these savages. It's not normal to have a baby who today has his first birthday after more than 3 months in captivity. So she told you to put it, to stay, to remain in the focus. You have to scream that, you have to tell that, you have to educate your colleagues, your counterparts, your opponents. He doesn't have to agree with you about Israel. I have my critics about Israel, I have my critics about the United States, but we have to continue to put it on the first line. Look at Ukraine. Everybody has seen something about Ukraine in the newspaper. It cannot happen with Israel. It cannot. This is our duty, our responsibility to do that.
I don't remember who had their hand up first.
My name is Howard Nussdorf. Hi. You're an amazing woman, and your story was very moving. This is more of a statement than it is a question. What touched me probably was something you said early on when you were in the shelter and you took out the book of Psalms and you just opened it up to Psalm 18. It's amazing. I mean, what do you feel about that?
I think it's the sound that it was my air in the shelter. I was holding him all the time. I hold my baby here, my son here, and just I didn't stop praying. And you need to read this passage. It's amazing. It describes exactly what we've been through. And if this is not God, so what? I don't know. This is God.
Put your hand up high if you're asking a question. That was it, Mr. Akosi.
Are you bringing hearing aids? Oh, that's fine.
Hi, I'm Robert Seedy. I'm not from Canada. I'm from Brooklyn. Thank you for your presentation. And I wanted to ask you a linguistic question, because you speak English so well. Is there a oh, and to the people who want to know what they can do, on Sunday, January 2nd, buy a ticket to New York and come to the Israel Day Parade in New York City on Sunday, June 2nd. June 2nd. Okay? June 2nd. Is there a difference in Hebrew when you say, release the hostages, as opposed to saying, bring them home? Basically, that's my question.
Yes, it's different. Release is לשחרר, and bring it to להביא אותם, but they hostages, so you need to release them. You don't just bring them home, you need to release them.
So shouldn't we be saying, release them now?
I don't know, it doesn't matter, just say anything. Just bring them home.
Because we're not holding them prisoner.
No, you're not. If you do.
Demand that they be released immediately.
Yes.
I think our answer is whichever it is, as long as it's effective. That's what we would like to see. So I wanted just to share, we didn't get a chance to talk before you came to speak, but, and you didn't also mention that I read the article about the photograph that was taken in your home and the picture that remained, but Maybe Susie told you, maybe not, but November 12th, I believe, I went to Israel with some rabbis from throughout North America that I've come to know through some of my APAC work, which is the lobbying organization in the United States that helps to make sure that Israel and the US are best of friends. And I was in Kfar Aza. Yes, actually, I've been there twice. But I had been there before, years ago, when the kites were coming, when the rockets were coming. And I met Ophir many times. And I met Chen. I don't know if you know Chen, who's the slight brown-haired woman. She would take us around on her porch right when you walk in. Chen Kotler, yes. So she had remnants of rockets on her front porch, even had remnants of an Iron Dome battery that had fallen down. And she would tell us with her sister, who I understand also survived. I didn't know what happened to her because I have this beautiful video of her sister and her home with her little kids from maybe it was 2018 or maybe even 2021. And was telling us the story. I didn't remember that she was Chen's sister, and I didn't know what had happened. And it was only in December that I learned from Chen that was her sister and she survived. But we were there and we met with Dvir, I think. Dvir is the uncle, yes, whose sister and Hadar and her husband Itai were killed in the two babies that were left screaming. So they were your next door neighbors? Behind you. So we first met with him and heard that terrible story, and then we went to Kfar Aza to see, and that picture that was shown earlier, I don't know if Joey've already unplugged everything, but it's okay. The picture that initially where you're standing by the fence, that fence was the fence from which they broke through to come in, and we saw that fence that was still in disrepair. And then we went to Kibbutz Shvaim. Is that where you were staying? Okay, so I was there probably when you were there, and we walked into Kibbutz Shvaim and we saw the twins, the actual twins who survived. Their parents were both killed. I don't know if you know this story. I'm sure you all do at this point, so I'm not going to belabor it. But one of the things I do whenever I go to Israel, regardless of what's happening, is I make sure that we have l'chaims for the group. I don't know if you're a Scotch drinker, but if you can become one, I'm happy to help you in that regard. So I had some Scotch with me, and we were learning about this kibbutz Shvaim, which is a kibbutz where many of the Kfar Aza residents are now living together in this other kibbutz. And there was apparently a very popular soccer game on that night, and there's a bar in Kibbutz Shvaim which had been created with a lot of the symbolism from this bar, which I would love to learn more about, that was in Kfar Aza, that was apparently very popular. Just for the record, I'd been to Kfar Aza before October 7th many times. No one ever brought me to that bar.
My husband was the bartender.
He was. So then here's what I want to know from you. This is going to be very interesting. So as we were leaving, they told us about this bar that has been replicated where they're now living in Kibbutz Shvaim, and it had the camels, the two camels, and some of them. And I said, everyone else was already on the bus. But as my congregation knows, I'm partial to l'chaims. I said, I want to see this bar before we go. Will you open up this bar? I want to see it. So they opened up the bar and they showed it to me, and I have pictures of the bar in Shvaim. And I realized that the group I was with wasn't drinking as fast as I thought they were going to. So I had this extra bottle of Macallan. I don't know if this ring.
I was about to.
Okay, no, you know what Macallan is? No, but so I left a bottle on November 16th or 17th in that bar. I'm wondering if your husband, and I wrote, with love from the United States, didn't sign my name. I took a picture of it. So you have to ask your husband if in the middle of November he walked into that bar and saw a bottle of single malt scotch and was wondering how it got there. And if he wants more of it, call me for Shabbat. and I'll make sure you have it. But can you tell us a little bit more about life? Because my impression, one of the reasons why I was visiting Kfar Aza in 2018 and 2021 was because it was not an easy place to live even before October 7th. I know you described it as this beautiful paradise. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that beautiful paradise was at the same time a place where you had, I think, 10 seconds or how many seconds to get to a safe house?
10 seconds.
10
And
seconds.
sometimes you hear the bomb and after the Tzavada.
So life before October 7th in all its complexities.
It's really sad to say that, but we were used to it. It was, yeah.
Move the microphone.
We were used to it. We grew up like this. I'm from Ashkelon, and my husband is from Kfar Aza. This is what we know from since we was child. And Kfar Aza is, is beautiful kibbutz. There always people say that the neighbor grass is greener. So no, this was the greener grass. I didn't want to live anywhere else. I saw my whole life in the kibbutz. I saw my children grew there and growing there, and like a whole life. People in Kfar Aza always say that it's 95% heaven and 5% hell. So it was like that. We were used to it, and we knew how to act accordingly. We knew what to do. We were evacuated every time that it was like really hard situation. It was fun. We were all together in a hotel, all the children. It was our life.
And from what I read, and you, I think, spoke yourself about you being someone who was passionate about peace with those neighbors, not so much now. But before, even with that 5% of hell, what is it about the members of the kibbutz that were so committed to peace and coexistence? I read a lot about the members of the kibbutz being people who dreamed one day of having a better coexistence.
Because we believed it's only Hamas. We believe that the citizens there are
not extreme.
Yes, like hostages. We believe that they're good people and they have no choice. They have to live there in Hamas control. But after what happened, and after our friends coming back from hostage and tell us that they were in civilian people houses, and there's no, I don't want to speak about it all, but I don't believe that there are innocent people there.
How are your children?
The question was whether or not they need any babysitters. Volunteers. No, the question was how were her children doing?
They're fine now. It affects them. They're both changed. Jonathan was only 4 months, but he changed. Adam had really bad regression in his behavior, and he started to speak stutter, and have tics in his face, and started to scream, and he was a really, really good boy. I always was like so proud that I have this good boy, and everybody was jealous. and he changed, but we changed too. So now he's okay. He's much better now. He always, since we got out from the shelter, he saw the house. He was talking about it, that he doesn't have a house anymore, and he wanted me to build him a new house. Yes. So when we got to Shfaim, we lived in a hotel room, really small hotel room, for 1 month, and it was really hard for him. And he always asked me, when you build me a new house, when? And then some really nice woman gave us her apartment for a few months to live in the, and this did really good to him, and he was much better. But we need to leave the apartment in the end of the month and to go back to Shfaim. But he will be okay. Yes.
Sarah Kiva.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm your friend. We spoke on the phone today. I want to know what's next for you. Do you plan on like staying here or going back home? What's next for you and your family?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, this is me and Adam, and if you want to come to our house, you are more than welcome to come to our house.
Yeah, no, I know what we're going to do next, but going to Shfaim, but it's really hard for us to think about future, because we're still living October 7 every day, and until my friend will not come back, I want to be in Israel to wait for her, but I don't know. Maybe we will come here. Yeah.
When do you go back to Israel?
On Wednesday. Yeah.
Lynn.
One more thought.
Okay, can I get you the microphone so everyone can enjoy your one more thought?
One more thought, I'm sitting here and thinking, what can we do? What can we do? We should be able to do something. And my question to you is, you're one of many people who are in a transitional state right now, trying to figure out your future. The Bravermans, who are extraordinary people, I would love to meet them and thank them. How many other Bravermans are we? And how can other Bravermans reach out to individuals like you to maybe foster them, mentor them, be available to them, support them financially, help them get resettled? How do we go about doing that as individuals?
I don't know, this is amazing. And the one good thing that comes from this horrible situation is that I met so many good people, and people were so amazing and wanted to help. And even in Israel, when we got out, the civilians were the people that helped us, not the government. So it's nice to see that there is good in this world, and maybe we can arrange something. I don't know.
There is a charitable foundation for Kfar Aza that is raising money for both for the current immediate needs and also for future needs, as there are many other philanthropic avenues. As you know, we've been encouraging people to get involved and contribute to many of the mainstream rescue and needs-based organizations in Israel. But I think the time will come soon for us to be involved in the rebuilding. But I think what Lynn is talking about is, people to people, person to person, helping individual families, identifying them all. I think part of the challenge, Lynn, is that the need is so vast. There are, Mike might know, but he'll know the numbers. How many displaced Israelis internally in Israel are there now? 230,000 internally displaced. That includes people from the north who are not able to return, and that jury is very much still out up there, as well as people from the south.
But I want to say something, that most of people don't know, the money that the kibbutz and the cities that arrange, it's for the kibbutz and for the people that wants to go back to the kibbutz. The people who doesn't want to go back need to figure it out by themselves what to do. The government do nothing for us. I'm including me because I don't want right now I don't want to go back to Kfar Aza, and they told me that I need to.
Is that a decision that you reached at the same time with your husband? Or did you both come at that?
It's a hard decision for me because I told you I really like Kfar Aza and I saw my whole life there, and I don't see my life anywhere else until now. But when people ask me why you live there, I will always tell them if I have even one pretend thinking that something like this could happen, I would never live there. And now after it happened, I'm not going to put my children again in this situation. So we need to figure it out for ourselves.
And your husband, who was born there, he feels the same way?
He wasn't born there.
I'm sorry.
He was in Ashkelon. He was in my kindergarten. Yeah. But yes.
He feels the same way.
Yes, same way. But still, it depends on how the war ends. Let's see how it ends.
Are you scratching your head or asking a question, or you're not sure you want to go there?
Exactly, I'm not sure. Because I want to say that, you're telling us about the 230,000 displaced Israelis. And all we hear about in the news is about all the displaced Palestinians. And I want to know how to get that point across.
Me too, this is why we
It's that we need to do to get that point across. We didn't start this. They started this, and now they want to pretend that it's the Israelis' fault. It's incredible.
It always is.
Yes.
And I'm on social media every day reminding people 104 days, there's still hostages there. A friend of mine actually texted me today and says, I lost my sticker and I'm not sure, is this today 104 because I have to put my sticker back on. This is who they contacted me just to make sure. I'm there every day, I don't stop, but I still can't make even my daughter's close friend understand what happened that day.
I appreciate your passion. I imagine Ravin also appreciates your passion, and I think that that's what we all need to continue to hold on to. Whatever aspect of this crisis that we are choosing to respond to in our own ways, like Mike encouraged, you don't have to be a soldier in the IDF, you don't have to be a survivor of an unimaginable trauma and tragedy. You just have to be a Jew who cares. And you have to think about what it is that you can do that makes a difference. Maybe you are politically active. Maybe you're philanthropic. Maybe you're a social media nudnik and you want to be in the face of everyone else and make sure that your opinion is heard, even if it feels like it's falling on deaf ears. We just have to keep at it nonstop and stay true to our values and stay true to our narrative because it's very clear, if it wasn't before, that if we don't do it, no one else is going to. Im ein ani mili is how that famous sermon from Rabbi Hillel begins. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? We have to stand up for ourselves. So, yes, Stanley, you coming up here?
No. I have found in dealing with issues in the past that calling one's congressman, senator is a good thing, but a lot of people don't realize you can call any congressman and any senator and voice your opinion. Sometimes they ask where you live, sometimes they play short shrift with you if you're not from their district, but other times they listen and they pass it on. So I urge everyone who wants to, please call, and I have with me here the number for U.S. Congress, for the White House. Anybody who wants it, I have it in my pocket. Call representatives who are even outside your district. Voice your opinion. Don't let the issue of support for Israel go stale. Keep on it, keep on it, keep on it. So anybody who would like the number, I have it here. Come see me.
Thank you, Stanley. So with that, I just want to point out that you'll see around this pavilion various photographs, powerful photographs. This is just a small collection that will be, I think, having a residency in Florida through the Israel Consulate. So I want to thank Mike Durkez and Maor Elbaz-Starinsky for loaning us for a brief period of time, especially for tonight. And you may notice immediately behind you the picture of the two soldiers going into a house. All that's left from the destruction are the two challahs still that were sitting there ready to be eaten that Shabbat morning. That is the home of Itamar's parents. That's her in-laws' home. You might have caught that in her presentation. So this is all us. We are all mishpacha. This affects us all. And whether it's the warm hospitality that I've received in Kfar Aza before October 7th, or the very difficult responsibility I felt that I had to be there to see what had happened in that place, both in November and December, or to collectively extend warm hospitality to you and to your family and wherever you choose to live. And we are Jews who have chosen to live in Canada, in Brooklyn, in Miami. So if you make that choice, I hope you know that Susie and Jack and the whole congregation, and we will look forward to welcoming you, especially if your husband's a bartender. I need to meet him.
Me too. I was a bartender.
Oh, you were the bartender also? Okay, so we're having a l'chaim before she goes home.
Before I
Susie.
got married.
Please, is it okay if we end with the singing of Hatikva? I mean, there's lots of prayers that we can say and do. Is that all right? So please rise, everyone. Roger, will you come lead us, please, in the singing of Israel's national anthem? And everyone go home before you go to sleep, Psalm 18.
Yes.
Read.
Oh.